Hey there, everybody. Welcome back with the Plat. Purplatypus is the name, and today we are talking about the Hulk build. Now, this is a pretty simple build, but before we jump into it, boom, thank you to the members and to the supporters. I really appreciate the support. Been over a month now, so thank you guys for those of you that renewed. This is awesome. I appreciate the support. Now, let's jump into it. So this is the Angry Hulk build. This build is pretty simple because it's a little self-explanatory. It has its weaknesses, but it's also pretty flexible, and it can be very, very strong against the right team comps. So I think this is something you definitely should have probably, maybe not always have it set up ready to deploy, but in case you're going up against some really tanky stuff, this could be the way to go. So it is going to be based around the breakers and rage ability, right? They're gonna get very, very angry and they are going to smash very hard. So what does this ability do? Let's see if I can move this up right here. There's no good spot in this game to put my camera, which means that the UI is probably great for if you're not creating content. But grants the user 20% attack and 20 accuracy, the effect stacks. So this is a pretty powerful ability. Now you're gonna get more out of the first few triggers than you will the later triggers. Like you'll see it's the same amount of damage increase, but like if you're going to do 300 damage, is 320 damage that much better? Not really. You're kind of overkilling it at that point. So this is a little bit of an all-in style of build. Again, I kind of like doing all-in just because I think it's more fun. But there's absolutely you could basically switch it up. So what are we doing here? We're basically going to have a character up front take a bunch of hits. I'm using a lane because they're pretty much the tankiest character. You could also use a Valkyria with Iron Veil and just the tankiest shit you got. It's very important. You could also use like a Gladiator, a Berserker. But what's important is you don't want to use things like Thieves. You don't want to blind the enemy. You don't want to stun the enemy. You have to be taking hits for Enrage to proc. This will proc if they themselves get attacked, and they themselves also have a heavy counter so they can Enrage and then heavy counter, things like that. So it will work if they get hit as well, I believe. That sort of seems like it worked like in my testing. But someone has to get hit, all right? So this is the big weakness of this build, is you have to be able to tank through it. Now, it's actually not all that bad, all things considered. But there are a lot of things. It could be just difficult to make sure you have things that survive, especially when you're letting the enemy do their things, because you need them to hit you for your damage to work. But this damage scaling is pretty crazy in general, honestly. It goes kind of hard. I don't think it's as good as the Gladiator dodge tank super hit, and I don't think it's as good as the super counterattack from the Snow Ranger, but this definitely has a place, especially with its ignoring armor. Defense versus armored targets. So if there's like some really, really tanky Legionnaires, this is probably one of the higher damage builds you could do to it. And it's relatively easy to get. All you got to do is get a level 20. I mean, level 20 to get the passive. You could probably find a weapon that has a similar attack. Like this one has ground strike on it. But you basically just want something that hits multiple, right? A row of enemies, inflict stun. This is probably even better in general, if I'm being honest. But yeah, also, man, what a cool spiked hammer's badass, bro. I love spiked hammer. It just single enemy. It's not what this build does. So for equipment, I am using the Juggernaut. I don't remember where I got this, but it's probably just a later game weapon. 30% crit damage and stun immunity. The skill we are not using. It does hit pretty hard. But 30% crit damage because we are running a Sergeant here just for the Keen Call crit to do increased damage. Now, again, this build is pretty flexible. If you want to get rid of a Breaker and a Sergeant and just have one character go all in, basically, on the, the Enrage, Rose Smash, have someone else give them True Strike, then you don't necessarily need this. The reason we have it set up this way is because the idea is one Breaker will go Rose Smash and kill one of the rows, and then the second Breaker will go and Rose Smash the second row, all in the first round of combat, so you don't need to survive multiple rounds. That's the idea. Sometimes if enemies have things like surviving lethal blows or removing buffs, or there's several things enemies can do where you might want to go less kind of first round kill, get rid of the guaranteed crit, get rid of the second breaker, add some more defensive stuff like healing, and maybe like a paladin that could prevent debuffs and make you take less damage. And maybe something that could even buff this attack. Even a werewolf could be pretty reasonable to give another buff of the attack on there. So Juggernaut's good. Other than that, we're just making sure we have 4 AP, 4 PP for a double row smash and a 4 times enrage. Eagle Eye is super important. There are going to be fights where you don't need it at all, because you are getting passive accuracy with the enrage. You're getting a lot of accuracy, as a matter of fact. So you're unlikely to miss. However, there are enemies that just dodge, right? And even if you have 1,000 accuracy, a dodge will still dodge. So having a sniper lens so you don't have to worry about hitting really evasive flyers or dodgers is just pretty darn good. And then other than that, just getting your damage as high as you can. Second character, pretty much the same thing, except I'm not using another sniper's lens. The main reason I'm not is because most of the hard to kill things are in one row or the other. And so I'll just move the sniper's lens into the row that has the harder to hit stuff. Usually it's frontline flyers and dodgers. And this is just dealing damage. Elaine is here because he's tanky and he survives. He's got cracked gear at this point. But really, Elaine with his lean edge is just really hard to kill. And if you just add a second character onto the front row, you could add a second tank here. You could add both of these, right? And now suddenly everyone is way, way harder to kill. But I'm only doing the bare minimum here to kind of show you what is possible. Again, like I'm not going to have my... it's just going to be exactly what's needed, right? Elaine's going to be able to lean edge in case he needs to. And then he's just here for the keen call, and it's only using it in the back row. And then these guys are going to row smash and enrage. So let's go ahead and take a look at an example of what the combat does. And again, these are kind of... this is like a starter build. Like if you play Magic the Gathering and you buy a pre-constructed deck, or Flesh and Blood, any card game, you get a pre-constructed deck by the, in Hearthstone, the developer, I guess. This is a pre-constructed deck, right? You can improve this depending on your situation, your units, and what encounters you're coming across. This is like, hey, look at this, the Enrage Hulk build. This one, depending on what you're fighting, is going to be good or bad, right? But I thought this was a pretty good example, right? They got some heavy boys up front. They got some AoE guys in the back. And so we should be able to do a pretty good job here. I don't actually... I think I did this fight. I don't remember how RNG heavy it was. I stand before you with fire in my breast and honor in my heart. That's the same place, bro. All right, so Elaine's going to stand by in the first turn. And the row shot is actually pretty bad because it is a guaranteed crit, but we are going to survive it. But if we had a Legionnaire, we could do a row guard instead. Would do pretty good. If you're not facing magic, maybe just a Legionnaire is better. But you can see enrage, 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 row smash, smack them. Pretty good damage with the guaranteed crit. It's actually not even insane damage because we're going a little bit faster. One thing that's important about this build is you want your breakers to go last. It's important that they're slow. And look at this. So we have passive 83 without the true strike. We miss, so it can sometimes, but Elaine will come here and finish up the job and just do an incredible Elaine thing because he's got all the Elaine stuff. Let's see if there's another fight we could do really quick here. You got to be careful with these because if they just suddenly go super, super quick. If there's no angel enemies and there's 5 or more enemies, well, she's not going to earthquake because we're only using 4, so maybe this is a good one. No offensive curse. Morning Star, I want that. 25% of the target's HP is additional damage. That's pretty cool. All right, let's try this out. I just changed up the gear just a little bit, and I made it so our spearman will actually attack, because I think it'll help him, because this guy has Enduring Strike, which is pretty rough to get through. You can't one-shot him in that situation, right? So, Defensive Curse. We had our big AoE go up, so now we're just going to stand by, but we do have more defensive stuff here now. So, you're going to guard. Never mind, he's going to miss that time, but you do have the, that's just luck, all right? But that's not even luck because we need to get hit. They had an 88% hit chance. So that actually fucks up our damage. So let's go ahead and watch again. We won, but that's not... I want to win in the way that I want to win, all right? Not by getting 12% dodges, all right? Streamer luck is real, guys. I'm not even streaming. That's how real it is. They even lower my evasion. Oh, I guess she's probably immune to it, huh? With like 100% guard rate, you'd think you wouldn't even try to dodge. I guess you would, but there we go. Huge hit there. That was, they hit hard, man. These crits. There we go. We did heal up 30 more. We are enraging. There we go. Rose Smash. I almost want to add a thief just to get rid of that, because that's so annoying. Where did our boy go? Another miss? 95% miss? It's all right. I hit the other one. Just hit that guy with a burn. That was probably a mistake. It's okay. They're not going to get another attack. Rose Smash, King Call. Boom. You actually get the crit that time. And now his turn comes up. He dies to the burn. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. And then our final Rose Smash. Guaranteed hit. Boom. Oh, she lives. All right. Well, it was close. It's because we didn't have the crit anymore, man. We lost the crit. We do this exact. I get it. We win. Got it. So you see, you're gonna have to mess around with it. So to kind of summarize it, this is the core weakness of a build like this versus the build like the super nukes. Like, if you have to survive what your enemy is doing to then do stuff, like we have to let the enemy attack us and then we try to kill them in one shot. If you just stun the entire enemy row at the start of combat and then you burn them all and then you nuke them and then they don't get a chance to do their stuff, right? Then you just kill them. You kind of like, you know, delete whatever it is they're trying to do. You bypass it. So that's why I think that's kind of, you know, those builds tend to be stronger. The alpha upfront stuff, but these are viable. They get harder the more complex an enemy's situation becomes, but keep in mind, we only have 4 units here, right? We have 4 units and we're not using shit to the best of our ability. I did have to add Royal Guard here and I switched out just because Elaine was basically getting killed and she wouldn't get killed because she had almost the same defense, and I just equipped her with the Royal Guard so she would heal in between pretty much every attack. And I added Flame Javelin just so we could basically kill that bear, right? Because the bear's lethal. It's kind of hard to kill with what we're trying to do here. Especially we're doing one big hit. We could also, like, you know, you could easily set up like a heavy, not a heavy smash, but, you know, if we have that one thing that hits 3 times, you know, it's like, oh, if enemy HP below 25%, use this, he won't survive the lethal blow. Like, you could set up specific things to make this easier. But yeah, this is the build. It is enraged. The whole idea is we get angry, angry, angry. And in fact, let me show you a mock battle one final time. Instead of like that, I should be doing the mock battles first and then do a real battle in the Coliseum. I like using the Coliseum because there's a lot of different fights and you could find ones that your team does work against and ones that it doesn't. Let's try this team. The only thing I'm going to change here, just because this is a weighted fight, you are going to not use Wild Rush. That's it. There you go. All right. And actually, I'm going to have you turn this off just to be safe. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. So this is kind of like, now when you stack things in your favor and you want to do max damage, this is kind of what this build will do, right? So you go here. One thing I like about making these builds is I'm not sure how strong it's going to be before I start making it. All right, that's 1 enrage. 2 enrage. We just got to make sure she actually gets hit. So once your evasion gets high, it's actually a negative. 3. You could add an owl here and get more enrage. It just feels like I didn't feel like I was getting that much out of it at that point. There we go. So now we got all 4 enrage. Now we Rose Smash, guaranteed crit, or guaranteed crit and hit on the bird, 227 damage. And then another Rose Smash. This one's probably less damage because it doesn't have all the stuff on it, but there we go. Almost the same amount, because once you're getting that much scaling, it's pretty much the same. And so, yeah, there we go. It's kind of an interesting build. I had fun kind of making it work, but yeah, that's all for today. Much love. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. If you have any other build ideas you want to see, let me know. I really want to use the elf for something, but I'm not sure exactly what. I mean, granted, attacking a row of enemies with a guaranteed crit would be pretty good. attack a column of enemies with piercing magic. I'm just not sure, like, they seem good, but they don't seem like insanely overpowered in any one thing, which is why I don't do it. Although I do like that stun, I won't lie. I fucking love that stun ability. I just started throwing them into my final build, but now we're just talking. We're talking. All right, see you guys in the next video. Bye.